We are back if we can find camera.
Thanks, Laurel. All right, so here it is, Tuesday, January the 22nd, and we are live from Longview, from Lynn's Ice Creams, Yogurt, and More. Thank you, Lynn. If you haven't tried this, please come down. They have the best burgers, best food, and it's a really neat 50s theme, so come on down to Lynn's and enjoy it. I have a very special guest tonight. We have our community. He is a liaison, he's a mentor, he's a leader, he's a volunteer for our community, and his name is Mr. Bill Josh. Thanks for being here.
Nice to see you, Kelly.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you back to our community.
Well, I grew up in Bellingham. I moved when I was 12, 13. I've lived in many different states, Texas, New Mexico, Michigan, South Carolina for a time. Stationed there for my basic training and job training when I joined the Army. I moved back here. I moved back to Washington in 2008. 2008 for my service up at Fort Lewis. Mm-hmm. And I was stationed there as a diesel mechanic in the Army. I got out and received a normal discharge, and I moved down here. Met my wife prior to leaving the service, a few months prior.
And your beautiful wife.
Yes,
beautiful wife, Jennifer.
Beautiful, yeah. we just clicked, and we've been together ever since. We got married a few years ago, and we have a nice boy, Theo, who's almost 15 months old already.
Strong personality, that little one.
Yeah, they all do. And then I have Adrian, who's 11 in February, beginning of February.
Wow. So a father of two boys.
Mm-hmm.
Think you'll try for that girl?
That's the plan, I hope.
Okay.
That would be fantastic.
All right, Jennifer, you can do it.
That would be fantastic.
Well, I have met your family, and you have a beautiful family and a beautiful wife, and I know you have a beautiful home as well. So it's good to hear that you came back. So you must have seen something or felt something about our community that drew you back here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But real quickly, tell me about your job. I know that you hold a position here in our community because I remember when you started that. I believe I was over at Locar at the time, but tell us about what you do for a living.
Well, I'm a real estate agent. I work very hard. I mean, what do real estate agents do? We buy, sell homes, represent our clients. So I'm very invested in my community through the things I do for that. I love what I do. And it's a primary focus of my life. It's more than just a job. It's a career path, and it suits me very well with what some of the things I like to do. So,
well, you're an honest person, and I think that your objective is truly giving great service and doing best. Yes, it's a lot of positions are either commission based or whatever, but I really believe that you would sacrifice something like that just to make people happy with the purchase of that.
I can't discuss it, but
Yes.
I do everything I can to
Yeah.
make my clients happy.
So if anybody, let's just say they wanted to find a realtor in town, is there a website? Is there a way that they could contact you or an office or?
You can find me on Facebook.
Okay, well, we know you're on Facebook.
Yeah, find me on Facebook. Yeah.
So tell me, you just touched a little bit on being in the military, so I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So if you were to say one thing that you learned from being in the military, what would that have been?
Honesty and integrity, selfless sacrifice,
Putting
the needs of others above the needs of yourself, and working as a team. There is no I in team.
That's right.
You have to work together. You have to work, whatever it is. If it's working with the community or working in a small work group or a task force or on a board or committee, it's not just about yourself. It's about the people that you're trying to help and the people that you're working with. Trying to forge and build relationships to reach a common goal.
That's a really great answer, and I do believe that's exactly how you feel. And I think you express that, and hopefully people will understand that and kind of ride your coattails a little bit in doing a lot of the things that you're doing. So touch a little bit on what you do for veterans.
Well, I am classified as a disabled veteran. I received a disability award.
Because you were injured while you were working or something.
Yeah. There's a difference between wounded and injured. Wounded
Sure.
is in combat. I received injuries while in service at Fort Lewis in relation to my legs, and it has impacted me for the last 10 years. If you Sometimes I require use of a cane. Most of the time, I try not to. Some days I'm in a lot of pain. Other days, today I'm okay.
But I even think if you weren't in the military, you would still have a big heart and passion for veterans, because every time you talk about it, you
Yes.
change, you morph.
Yeah, I started out when I was going to school here at OCC. I worked as a veteran work study over at WorkSource, helping veterans find employment, helping write resumes and get them jobs and everything else. And so it's been a real passion of mine. And I've tried to connect veterans with services here in town, so that way they can, can have a good
To
life.
live.
Yeah.
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 And you touched on that, and I know you have a lot of things, and I don't know how you do it in your timeline and your schedule, because you just came from a meeting, now you're going to go to another meeting. But I know that you're very active. I know that you're seeked out to apply to be on certain boards, and I believe you're on 5 boards. Is that correct?
Well, I serve on, so there was a couple, at least one nobody wanted to apply for, and I applied for it, the Mosquito Control Board.
Which one is it?
Mosquito Control Board.
Okay.
That's actually one of the most important boards that we have for the city of Longview. Well, the county, actually. I'm the city of Longview representative for that. Nobody likes mosquitoes. I will tell you, though, it is the most fiscally responsible organization that I've ever seen. Like,
Wow.
nobody comes to the meetings, but they care about the, I don't know if you know this, but every property has assessed value that they pay for mosquito mitigation.
I did not know that.
Nobody knows.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess. But they do a really good job of keeping mosquitoes out of our community. And
Yeah.
it's important.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize that there's behind the scenes of that. They just assume, oh, there's not a lot this year, but maybe the county did.
They're always working.
They're always working.
Yeah, they have a new director. The gentleman had worked there for a long time. He's retired, and we have a new director there. I have faith he'll do a fantastic job.
And what other boards? I know you're on other boards. Are you housing?
Well, it's a Building Planning Advisory Council for the county. For that, you meet with the not planning, but you meet with building and planning. Yeah, building and planning. You learn about what they are doing, best practices, what type of development is going in. It's information. You don't really have influence. You're getting a lot of information, but we listen to what people in the community have to say. If there's something wrong with building and planning, they can always reach out, and we can provide input back to them.
So that's good. So you may not necessarily be a leader in that, but you're a representative. You're the voice.
I am one of a few. Yeah.
Good.
And everything, you're one person. And I'm not speaking for them right now. I'm
Right.
not speaking
But again,
for any
it's
of
a
them.
team.
Yeah,
Like you
it's a
said,
team.
it's a team.
Yeah, and then the County Planning Commission, as well. I was appointed last year. I was just appointed to the City of Longview Planning Commission meeting, or we have some meetings coming up for that. And then I chair the Accessibility Advisory Committee for the City of Longview.
And what does that committee do?
Well, it's a new committee. It's actually really cool. I was appointed because for the business position, and because I have understanding as classified as a disabled veteran.
Right.
And what we're doing is tasked with developing an ADA transition plan for the city of Longview. And the city of Longview is doing a fantastic job. They're only one of 9 cities in the entire state that actually has this committee.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and so, we've been tasked with developing a transition plan, and we are working hard on it. And it's
Good.
something- yeah, the city of Longview does some really good stuff.
Yes, they do.
Yes,
they do.
They don't always. People don't always know,
Right.
but they're working on it. As an example, there's 33 bus shelters for River City Transit that have been replaced since 2015. 33, which is, I believe, like 80% or 85% of them.
And I think sometimes people see them and they think they just magically appear, but
No.
behind the scenes, when you're talking about a project or an initiative or something, there's somebody that's thinking about it, and then all of a sudden, where's the money going to come from, and who's going to get the feedback from the community? But there's a tremendous amount of work that is done by volunteers on all these boards and what Bill does. to really get us to a better place in our community. Things just don't appear. And it's a lot of work, and sometimes people may not always agree, but you're more than welcome to go to the meetings and volunteer along with Bill.
Always, yes, please. Love
yes.
public. I love public input.
Yes, yeah. Well, I know that because you're at the city council meetings giving your input. I've seen you at the county meetings, and it's so easy to just sit at home and or be on social media and make comments, but to be at these meetings and to contribute, listen, educate yourself, it goes so much farther for yourself and the community. Knowledge is power. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's been every other Thursday at the city of Longview. I mean, I have it baked into my schedule to go to the council meetings. Sometimes
Once on Thursday.
Sometimes I don't say anything. Sometimes it's best, when sometimes you learn more and say more when you don't actually say anything.
Yeah, sometimes less is more.
Sometimes less is more.
And sometimes more is more. We know that, right?
Yeah. As an example, at the last meeting, we had a economic development update from the Joe Phillips. So that was fantastic to see. The city manager and community development and the city council really did a good job in understanding the community's needs and getting that done. So I look forward to more reports from that.
Thank you for spearheading a lot of that too. I mean, this is the other thing that Bill does. He's one person, but he can often speak on behalf of thousands that are thinking it, or he's always kind of that one step ahead. And holding our public officials accountable. We are the voters, and there's leaders in our community that lead us, and there's representatives that represent our voice. And Bill, you've never been afraid to give compliments or critique.
You're correct. If I'm known for one thing, it's speaking my mind, but sometimes you have to be measured in everything that you say. The one thing, because I've been doing this for 4 years, I guess it has been already, is I've noticed our elected leaders, they get a lot of flack, and some don't do a good job, and some do a good job. And when they do something good, you don't hear about it. It just happens. It literally just gets done when something good is done, right? You don't hear about it. But when there's an issue, like this issue at the lake, as an example, then they get the flack. And yes, it is their responsibility, their job, the safety security of our community is their highest priority. But like you and I know, this issue with the homeless at Lake Sacagawea, they've had nonstop conversations about it. They feel that they've tried to address the issue with the city manager. They passed that, I guess you call it, resolution to enforce the laws on the books.
Which is the 10 p.m. curfew.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't know is that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, out of an Idaho ruling, they have decided that, if there's no shelter to be given or had, you can't exactly force them out of there during the day. They have as much right to be there during the day as yours.
It's not illegal.
Yeah, they have as much right to be there during the day as you and I do, but should they be setting up TVs or camping there during the day or using drugs? I've gone down there, I've talked to them, I go by there every day sometimes. And yes, they are causing a significant issue.
Do you think a majority of them want the help, or do you think there's some that don't?
Yeah, so I've talked to quite a few, and I spoke about this at the meeting that we had, Ken Botero's meeting, that I would classify a lot of the individuals as an urban survivalist, that they have accepted that this is what they will do. They will gladly take assistance and take help and food and shelter, but we will probably always have to provide something for them. And a lot of them do have mental health issues, and they were open about their drug use too.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they'll be honest for sure.
Yeah.
I think that if I could just say this, because you touched on that Ken Botero meeting, and if I could, and I'd like your opinion about this, I think that we're all trying to, in the last year or two, there's definitely been a split and divide right from the left, Republican, Democrat. And I think that we're all kind of changing in a way of understanding that there's, 10 sides to everything. But this is how I felt about that particular meeting. I felt that there was a lack of education, maybe from the intake coordinators for the homeless that are utilizing maybe some of the community services. What I feel is that there's a representative for the homeless that I felt that comes in hot. And I think that, I think that when she's angry and frustrated and elevated and cutting people off, then that's what they learn and they know. And I think if we could just be calm a little bit, maybe educate them on where these funds come from. It's not just, free services. And I think everyone is empathetic or sympathetic to her. So I wish that there was a little bit of a tone set that's a little bit more relaxed. What do you think about that? Did you feel that?
Well, I had been, to be honest, I had been kind of critical of Ken for his vote on that emergency, it wasn't an ordinance, but emergency resolution, I guess, from the county. So he kind of put me on the spot there, which is fine. He asked me, well, what do you do? And there's not an easy solution. If there is a solution, I don't think we'll ever solve homelessness. I mean, it's a solution, or it's a problem without a solution, I think. And we can throw as many dollars out at it as we possibly can, and we can have, for some reason, Bigsby just activated. Sorry.
It's okay.
But it's always going to be there. But it's how we treat them and how we talk about it in our community. I think that matters. And I've been very critical. I mean, when Love Overwhelming was open in Kelso, I was against it 110% wholeheartedly, and I've voiced that opinion quite frequently. I don't feel that it was good for our community, what they did there. Over 800 calls of service in a 2-year period, and that's just the calls, and
Right. Yeah.
And we were.
Some people may think that kind of opened the door. Maybe not, but some people feel like that kind of opened the door for our community, because that's truly when things change. And again, I'm not going to blame, but
I think that it did. I think that at that time it brought it to the forefront, and I think that after that, what happened there? I mean, you had people doing drugs, selling drugs out of there. I mean, read the Daily News article about the drug operation that was inside Love Overwhelming, and then you're being told by their director,
right.
Oh, that's not happening here.
Right, and I think what happened there too is they started doing the housing first rather than transitional, what Community House on Broadway, which you know how much I love Community House on Broadway, because what they do is they know they get these dollars and grants, donations, but they expect them to be sober. Mm-hmm. They help them get a bank account. They help them build their resume. They hold them accountable to UAs. And there's so many successful stories that come out of Community House. I think when Love Overwhelming was read, they really encouraged the housing first, which is, let's put these people in a house first, and that'll give them the incentive to become clean. But that isn't what happened.
Not what happened at all. But and then we saw what happened in Shekinah, of course. I was there and, provided opinion on that. And I think everybody was so afraid and so concerned about another debacle occurring in the community that it really didn't change people's opinions, but solidified their opinions on the subject.
Right.
And now we see here we have visible individuals.
Right.
And most of those individuals were located on the Sari property.
Right.
But it is private property. They allowed them to live there for a long, long time. And they burned it up. I was actually one of the first people on that scene. I was driving by as soon as I saw the flames. I was over there. Somebody beat me to calling 911, but I watched, and they burned it up. And there's another fire in the farm where another location encampment was located. And if you talk with Jeff Wilson, he'll tell you on Mount Solo, there's other burned structures up there, and so we have homeless in our community that need housing, but they've caused some issues, and they're continuing to cause some issues.
So what do you think a solution is?
Well,
give me step one.
Step one. This county receives quite a bit of dollars from.
Yes.
Yes.
I can tell you that.
Quite a bit of dollars.
Millions.
Yes, it is a substantial sum. But those dollars are also earmarked for specific things. We have to have coordinated entry, and we have to have somebody to administer that, or else we just don't get the funding at all.
That's true.
Uh,
Yeah.
and currently Love Overwhelming operates a coordinated entry. We'll see how much longer that lasts, but currently they operate it. You have the mental health dollars, and you have the doc recording fees, with real estate being good, you know, the real estate business booming, you get more funding from the
Right.
from the doc recording fees,
Right.
and so that helps. But all those dollars are earmarked for specific things.
Right. And there's some nonprofits that do raise donations that are undesignated or not earmarked, like
Look at
100
y'all.
Men Who Care, 100 Women Who Care,
Well, yeah,
just
but-
to name a few, but most coming down from federal and state, whether it be FEMA or any state assistance, that you're right, they not only want it earmarked and designated, but then you have to show your results. But one person I do want to mention, I think Jim Walsh has done an extremely good job on the Hill for, to hopefully get us additional funding. You know, we've had some hiccups,
The
but.
Governor James Lee has said that he's making it a priority, mental health and housing a priority. And I appreciate the sentiment on that. You can't always throw dollars at a problem to fix it. Government is not always the solution for everything.
Right.
For those of you listening, it might come as a shock to realize that government regulation and over-regulation is stifling housing development, affordable housing development, what I would consider affordable, and it increased costs. You know, you're not going to get the housing developments that we need from the local governments, and we can't afford it. The city of Longview can't afford it. Thankfully, we have Representative Jim Walsh and Representative Brian Blake as well, who helped get extra $100,000 for the Longview Housing Authority project. I think they're going to build like 100 units, I think, at some point in time. But when will that happen?
Yeah.
So the Longview Housing Authority has a new director.
Yes.
I
Yes.
can't remember her name off the top of my head.
The new one?
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. Chris Pegg has.
I think she moved.
She moved.
Her and Diane moved.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think they moved to Spokane, but they'll have a direction, and they will, I think, take it and run with it.
Yeah, so that's a plus. So when you're listening to Bill talking about all these committees, it's like it's a second language to you.
That's yeah.
No, that's good. You know, it just comes naturally. And one of the things about being a volunteer, you do it, you know, not for self, but for community or others. And it's an I, it's a we. But I know that you were acknowledged as a community champion with the Pathways 2020,
Yeah.
as well as housing.
Yeah,
I bet
somebody.
that made you feel good.
That was unexpected. Somebody nominated me for the Pathways 2020 2017 Housing Champion.
Yeah.
Somebody did. I don't know who that would be.
And I don't know.
I don't know.
I know
either.
that there was like 35 nominated, but I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't ultimately win it, and that's perfectly fine with me.
But you're a winner by being nominated. You know, there's very few.
I don't do what I do to be recognized.
That's true. I understand that.
No, I think the only time I've really made that public was the other day somebody was, accusing me of being against affordable housing for some reason and not wanting to help solve the problem. And I'm like, here,
Yes.
take a look, right?
Yeah.
And I don't do that very often.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that because on my paper, I want to talk to you about a couple things. I know that when you kind of came on the scene and social media was really starting, and that was, so a couple questions, just give me some short answers.
Go for it.
Okay, so in regards to social media, power or weakness?
So in regards to
Social media, is it powerful to be able to get the word out and respond? And I'm talking, generally, or is it a vulnerable weakness that takes away someone's power? I mean, how do you look at social media? Because it's powerful.
it's both.
It can be hurtful. It's powerful, but I've also watched you transition in the years, and you've changed. I know you probably don't want to hear that because
No,
you
I
probably
have.
got this
I have.
armor, but
Oh no, I have.
Oh, yes, you
It's-
have.
It's an evolution.
yes, there you go. So I do have a question on here about self-reflection.
Yes.
So tell me about when you look at yourself a few years ago, and
Yeah.
Because I've gotten to know you. Tell me about just self-reflection over the years.
So, of course, I started out. I had a really big mouth on social media. It started because I had friends that were interested in what was going on with the level of overwhelming. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? And so I started looking more into it, and I was really looking for a direction and a path. I had the passion to get involved in something and to make a difference. And like a lot of people, I was angry, and
Sure.
I was frustrated. I was like, how can this be happening in our community?
Right.
And so I got involved, and I ended up administrating a very large citizen news page and group, and we've used it to provide a community resource, of course. And you asked me, is social media powerful or is it a weakness? And it's both, because when you have the ability to provide information to people with the snap of a finger, you have to make sure it's accurate. You have to make sure that you're being responsible with that information. Like if I go out, as an example, this morning, we had an incident over at Holtz Market.
And I'm sorry about that. I know you know her, so.
Yeah, and Kayla Desiree Chapman was the victim. That's public knowledge. We administered a Facebook group together for a couple of years. And I knew her every time I was going to Kelso, I'd stop at Holtz Market and I'd see her there. Nicest, most genuine person that you could possibly meet. And she's good. But then this morning, people started posting about it. People can be so mean and nosy and demanding of information that they don't necessarily have a right to know at that point in time. Victims have rights.
It's very respectful.
And victims have rights, right? And you have to have some sort of decorum to moderate that. That's
Right.
To be honest, I spent some time doing that this morning, making sure that she was respected. It's not always when you have thousands of people commenting on a situation, it's very, very difficult. But it illustrates it's a powerful tool, but it'd be
Yeah, I can see that. So how do you think it changed you? Like, let's say this, using 2018 as an example.
2018.
Because you've mellowed a little bit. I think that, and I don't mean that in a, like
No.
I think that what I've seen in you this last year, and you're right, I think just like, kids growing up, me growing up, I was a teenager and I thought I knew everything and wanted to tell everybody. But then I realized that's really, it's better to pace and slow down and relax than speak than it is to just jump.
Well, because of where I've been, serving on boards or learning, going to meetings, I've gotten to know people. I've gotten to know the people that make the decisions. I've gotten to, know people that have concerns about issues, and I'm not gonna lie, everybody knows where my political leanings are. And,
Right.
I'm a big proponent of job creation and beating back the environmental progressives.
I know. So instead of just making comments, not really knowing all the facts or details, you've learned all the facts and details.
I don't know everything, but I've done my absolute best to learn.
Good. And that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
And so, I evolved from a big mouth that didn't know anything, right?
Do you have any regrets?
Do I have any regrets? Do I have
Do you feel bad about anything?
Do I feel bad about anything?
Do you have regrets?
Do I have regrets? I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, but, having my son, Theo, 15 months ago almost,
Yes.
that was a mellowing.
Yes.
It was a calming experience for me.
I bet. Well, that's one of my questions.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you something,
Go for it.
and I need you to just do the best you can. If you were to say a message to your sons in the future about life here, whatever, what would the message be to your sons about what you feel today about the world and what you hope for them in the future, and maybe what part they could take in it?
What I hope most from my sons, and what I hope they learn most from their mother and myself, is that no matter what you do, make sure that you feel good about it. Make sure that you take a step back, you evaluate the situation, and you make the right choice. Don't just fly off the handle think about how your decisions affect others. Not necessarily will they be offended or will their feelings be hurt, but think about how it will actually impact them. Yeah. And they're both so smart. And Zadrian came to me when he was 4 years old. I found out I had him, and I fought hard to get custody of him.
And you did?
Yeah, I got custody. I was told it was impossible. That the state didn't do that. And I'm a very tenacious person. Don't let this nice, friendly, cuddly exterior.
Well, with that being said, I've heard you've been, through the years, you've been called names. And one of the names was, and they're just throwing out things. Oh, he's probably racist. And I thought, wow, little do they know
Yeah, my son.
that he has a biracial son.
Yeah, my son. My Zadrian is the product of a biracial relationship. My first wife was Hispanic.
And he is so handsome.
Yeah, Zay's got the curly hair.
Oh, yeah.
So it's so crazy because he's a product of a biracial relationship, but he came out as Caucasian with an afro.
I know.
He's
I told me you got great hair.
Yeah, he does. And everybody tells him that, right? And he's like, everybody likes my curls. I don't know why they like my curls. I don't like my curls.
He's got great, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good message to your boys because that's really good advice. So if you were to say a message to the community, how you feel about things now and what you hope for in the next few years.
Well, our community is facing a lot of challenges. A lot. It's just not Longview, Kelso. It's our entire county. Things are changing. Development, job creation. We are experiencing a lot of issues. And what people have to realize is that the issues that we are experiencing today aren't unique to just today. They've occurred in the past. It might be different, but at each point in our past, we've experienced something similar. And so we can go back and look and see how that problem was handled. Was there a solution found? And can we learn from it? And so if we're looking at what's going to happen in the future for, say, Longview, I live in Longview, I think we'll be okay. I think that we will find a way, to work together. I think that at this point in time, there's enough people that want to work together, like on the homeless issue, that I think that we will come to a solution of sorts that will be beneficial for the community. I have hope that we can do that. And it's not just one specific person that can do that. Some people will say, I'm gonna run for political office because I have all the answers and I know the problems and I know the solutions, and by golly, I'm going to get it done. Well, good luck. You have to work as part of a team.
That's right. Gotta listen.
Kelso, Longview, Lynn, Castle Rock, you're part of a team. It takes 7 on the city of Longview. You have seven people, and then you have the entire bureaucratic government agency that you have to work with as well.
That's right. That's right.
But I think our community can solve the problems that we're looking at.
Well, one of the other things on my paper that I have here is, would you ever consider running for public office?
Oh, would I ever consider? I have people that ask me that quite frequently. Like, not would you ever consider, but people that ask me, are you going to please run? And I'm like, I appreciate your sentiment. I appreciate it. There are some times where you lose your voice.
Right. You and I had this conversation the other night. What Bill and I were talking about the other night is oftentimes when you're elected for, let's say, city council, you really are a representative that makes sure that the community goes by the bylaws and the guidelines and the laws. But as a citizen, a tax-paying citizen, you are able to voice how you feel, good, bad, indifferent. And sometimes you have more power by doing that and moving people, right? Is that?
So I don't even want to use the word power, because power illustrates that you have some sort of magical force or influence over somebody. Your voice is your power. and how you choose to exercise it, and how you choose to use it to influence others and provide them information, or how you make them feel, that's important. And if you can formulate good argument and a cohesive,
I like a good argument.
yes, I love it. But if you can influence how things work just by talking to people and providing good ideas. And that doesn't have to come just from being an elected official. It is our duty, it is our responsibility, and it's our right to have an opinion, to voice that opinion, and to make changes. You don't have to be an elected official to do that. You don't have to. You don't
I see
have
the
to.
same people at the meetings.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, remember everyone, you can attend any city council meeting, there's
Yeah.
one on Thursday, but go, listen, you don't necessarily have to speak, but you might be, you know, your actions might be to want to speak, give your opinion, they're very respectful of citizens that want to go and talk. But go, you know, if not go, watch them on KLTV, but learn, you know, it's too easy just to, you know, verbally type or verbally speak or type your opinion on social media. Know what you're talking about. That's one of my pet peeves. If somebody doesn't really know what they're talking about, they're just talking.
I get told, you know, somebody really close to me, somebody I respect more than almost anybody, has said to me, make sure before you speak you have knowledge. Don't speak without knowledge.
Absolutely.
You know, don't speak
Absolutely.
from the emotion, from your emotion. Speak with knowledge.
That's
And when you
right.
have the knowledge, then you can make the influence.
Well-
But to answer your question, would there ever be a time I would consider it? Yes, if I felt that there was a candidate or
Yep.
no other candidate that could do a good job that I could support, I would consider it. I'd
Yeah.
have to be foolish not to.
Sure.
But-
Well, again, you're a community volunteer, you're a spokesperson, you're a board member, so.
And I'm only turning 30 this year.
I know, it's crazy how young you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
you and Spencer and just how young you guys. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what you were just saying about, I always tell my kids too that knowledge is power, and I'm a very analytical person, and so because I work off of reports that are factual, it's hard for me not to do homework and talk with knowledge. And if I don't know, I'll say, I don't know, but I'll find out. But what you just said was correct for anybody. Do your work, do your homework. It's easy just to talk with your emotions. We all have them, we've all done it.
I've done it.
But if you're wanting to make a difference, learn both sides. Two more questions for you,
Sure.
because I know you gotta go. Out of the people in this community, tell me a couple of your mentors, and I mean, it could be anybody that you go to first, that you trust, or that you may even disagree with, but they always teach you something. So can you tell me a mentor or two that you look up to?
Yeah, the first mentor, the first person who I look up to and who I look at every day and who guides me in everything I do
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
is my wife.
Yep.
Is my wife. Yes. She can be soft-spoken, but trust me, she can carry a big stick. And she, I mean, I'm sincere when I say that. It's not just to get brownie points because I'm in trouble. She's not in
You're not,
trouble.
are you?
No, I'm not in trouble.
No.
But your wife or your spouse is your partner, and they, above all others, are the person you're supposed to trust most. I've made some excellent relationships and built some really good relationships with other people in my community. Of course, you know, work in real estate. Mike Long, fantastic. The guy cares.
Oh, I know.
I see it every day. He legitimately cares about our community and what happens to everybody in the community. And
He's wonderful. He is.
Yeah, he is. He tries his best every day.
And he's fair.
Yeah.
You know, Mike's fair, and he really does listen to the community. He reaches out, and he's a good representative for the city.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to people that I disagree with as well. I mean, it's you have to talk with everybody and try to build a relationship with people that you disagree with in order to get things done. You know, but there's so many people that we have in our community that are good mentors. Jeff Wilson, you know, I would be remiss in saying that, you know, Jeff and I became friends few years ago, and we just like clicked. We think a lot alike.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
He's one of mine too.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of different
for sure.
topics, and what that guy has done. He's probably one of the most philanthropic individuals we have in our community. He's very knowledgeable.
As well as his beautiful wife, Trish.
Trish is awesome. Yeah. What she does and what
Yeah.
they've done with the 100 Women in Care and everything else, and 100 Men for Jobs.
Yes, yeah.
It's great, and I'm lucky. I'm blessed that I've gotten to know these individuals, right?
And you may not know this, but you may be someone's mentor as well. You know, you don't know that, and I think that's, even though you're just yourself, you're volunteering, you're not doing it for any reason, but you know, one day someone may be sitting here saying, Bill Josh. You never know.
Maybe. I have never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
That's an interesting thought. You know, I want a quick story,
Mm-hmm.
and this can apply to a lot of people in our community, and it should. This is how every elected person should think of themselves. That people run for office, like Jeff, to hopefully solve the problem. And the story is, and some people may not know this, but back when Rome was fairly new, they were being invaded by the barbarians, right? There's always a war back in the ancient times of Rome, right? They're invaded by the barbarians, and Rome is under attack, and they're going to, you know, everybody's looking at to find a leader. And so there was a gentleman by the name of Cincinnatus. Cincinnati is named after him, of course. And the people of Rome go to Cincinnatus, who's retired and a farmer, and says, Cincinnatus, we need your help to defeat the barbarian horde. And Cincinnati, they gave him all the power in the world. I believe they named him consul or whatnot. And they gave him all the power. And he quickly defeated the barbarians. And he was like, peace out. I'm going back to farming. But they wanted him to stay around. Right? And when I think about people in our community, I think that we have a couple of those individuals, you know, in our community. But the problem is just haven't solved yet. And, you know, and not just elected officials, they can apply to a lot of people. And, you know, until the problems are solved, they're not going to go back to doing what they were doing before.
Yeah.
But there could be someone else out there that feels that could apply to them.
Good.
And it very well could.
Yeah. That's good.
I like history. Always have.
Good.
I swear I have short-term memory loss, but the long-term stuff.
As far as you can remember? As
Yeah.
far as I can remember, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap this up, I just have a really quick fire question. It's
Sure.
just going to take a few seconds. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Favorite song?
My favorite song
Yes.
is
Or band?
Journey.
Oh,
When
yes.
Journey, When You Love a Woman.
Oh,
I'm a ballad guy.
oh,
I love ballads. Ask my wife. I will sing it in the shower almost every morning. Don't ask me to sing for you.
because that was the next show. Favorite movie?
Braveheart.
Braveheart. Oh, that's a great movie.
Freedom.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Vanilla? Good. Okay. Well, I want to thank you very much for being here. Again, I want to thank Lynn's Ice Cream and Yogurt. Again, come down here and eat. I want to thank Candace Benton as well as Laurel O'Neill for putting on Live from Longview. Next week, we have
Paula Quigley from Kathleen.
Paula Quigley from Kathleen. What's Paula do?
She has a horse ranch over on
Oh.
the island.
Horse ranch. Oh, on Puget Island?
Huh?
On Puget Island?
Oh, that's cool.
I love Kathleen.
Oh, I do too.
I go there quite frequently.
I love it. I want to thank all the viewers. We have them from New England. We have them from New York. It's amazing to me how many people follow this particular show, and we just appreciate everything. Again, very special thanks to Bill Josh, a community volunteer, representative, and many boards in our community making it better. You can find him on Facebook if you're interested in finding a house, looking for a house. If you need any counseling for a better marriage, this is the guy. Jennifer, he loves you very much. That's right. Yeah, so I want to thank you again, Bill. Thank you so much for being here tonight. You're very philosophical and very caring, and I appreciate that. And for everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in to Live from Longview, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Thanks again.